All right, so I get asked pretty much all the time in the comments what this lens is that I'm shooting on. Right now, I'm currently shooting on the Sigma 24mm 1.4 prime art series lens, but that kind of makes me think I should probably talk a little bit about what other lenses I shoot on. So today, I'm opening up my camera bag, we're going through all the lenses, pulling out all the gear, and talking about what lenses I use, what lenses you should maybe use, and hopefully give you a bit of insight on what gear to shoot with. Okay, so let's start off by talking about this lens, the Sigma 24 1.4. I absolutely love it for sort of these talking head videos, and if you want to get into like super cinematic, talking head sort of vlog type stuff, this is really great. The reason why I think it's so awesome is I have a nice distance away from the lens, so it seems personal, I'm nice up and close, as well as if I crank it up to 1.4, which I think we're at like 1.4, like 1.7 right now, you're able to get this nice like crispy, out of focus background. But you're like, Zach, wait, you're shooting on a Sony and you have it at 1.4, so you don't have autofocus? Yes, with this lens, I do not have autofocus. So basically what I have to do is mark myself on a certain ground and understand like what my focus distance is. So I know it's at like 1.4 now, so probably I'm out of focus when I'm at this point, and then I'm out of focus when I'm at this point. But if I just stay around here, I'm in focus. Maybe I'm not, you're like, Zach, you're still out of focus. So anyway, these types of lenses, 24 is great for this sort of thing. I actually probably only use my 24mm for vlog type stuff like this. Outside of that, it just kind of stays in my bag. That takes me to my next lens, which is my favorite lens, which is the 18 to 105 Sony G series lens. Now Canon has a parallel type lens like this, which is their 24 to 105 L series, which is just as great, nice crispy glass. I use the 18 to 105 because I'm shooting on Sony right now. So basically with the 18 to 105, it's a great focal distance for like doing sort of vlog stuff. So if I'm walking around, I want to capture vlog, that's great. Or I can crush it right into like a 50 or 70 or 105 and get like nice, beautiful, crispy B-roll stuff. It's at like an f4, but if you're shooting like exteriors and if you're punch right into like a 105, you don't really need it to be any better. What I do absolutely adore about the lens is its weight factor, so it's great for gimbal video. I have a link about that in the description below. It's great for gimbal videos, nice light lens, it's great for travel, it doesn't take up a lot of space in my bag. I also love the fact that it has internal image stabilization. So if I'm kind of doing run and gun vlog stuff or tutorial stuff or even music videos, I use this lens for everything. And so basically I can get some nice B-roll that looks really great, that's stabilized, as well as has a nice like crispy depth of field if I punch right into 105. Definitely like the best starter lens for your kit. Okay, and now kind of blasting into the next lens that is pretty crucial if you want to do any sort of like travel videography or event videography, and that is the 7200. I just picked it up, that's why I'm doing this whole episode, because I wanted to like unbox it, play around with it, and actually have some sort of motivation to utilize it. But it is a beast of a lens. It's so big and robust, and the great thing about that lens is it, like, I've heard of people like going through like sandstorms with them. They've been in like ice storms. They're a really, really strong lens, as well as like the coverage that you're able to get is just amazing. The reason why you want to have this on your kit if you're doing a lot of travel video or some sort of like experiential or event video is it can punch right in and capture some intimate moments that potentially you wouldn't catch realistically if you were just floating around with your camera. One thing that you'll notice if like you're shooting on, let's say like, you know, a 50 mil or 75 mil, and you're at an event and you go into someone's face, they're immediately gonna go like, hey, what's going on? I'm on camera. But if you're on like a 200 mil, they're not even gonna notice you exist. You're a fly on the wall, and the coverage that you're getting is really nice because you're punched in, you've got that beautiful depth of field in the background. It's also great because it has a nice image stabilization on the inside. So if you're doing any sort of handheld footage, you literally just hold it. It's great for holding. It makes like if you're shooting on a Sony, it gives it a bit more weight so your footage is already a little bit more stable. And then with its like automatic internal stabilization, like it's just, I'm loving it. I've been playing around with it all day. The next lens is a 50mm. Now, you can do like the cheap Canon nifty 50mm. It's a great startup lens. The focal distance of a 50mm is just amazing because you're able to get really nice like crispy depth of field, especially if you're doing like a 1.4, or on my last music video shoot, I fell in love with this other lens. We were getting a 0.95, which is like crazy depth of field. I fell in love with it though. I shot a whole music video on that as well here in Canada. You can check that out in the description below. But having a lens that can get that cinematic depth of field, as well as giving you a little bit of distance away from your actors, makes it probably my favorite cinematic lens. So I shoot a lot of music videos on a 50, shoot a lot of like movies on a 50mm. It's probably my most used cinema lens. And I have a link in the description below for the 50mm lens that I fell in love with. The one thing is I actually don't own that 50mm lens. I borrowed it. Now, you're being like, Zach, but you're talking about gear that's in your bag. Why is that not in your bag if you love it so much? Well, like you, I can't afford all of my lens choices, and that's gonna be my next purchase. But what I like to do is I like to actually borrow my friend's gear or rent out gear in order to try it out and see if I like it. So let's say you're trying to buy or build up your kit, and let's say you can't afford maybe a 70 to 200. See if you can borrow one of your friends, or if you can rent one out and try it out for a little bit. Certain lenses work for certain people. Just because I'm giving you the advice of buying this gear, that's what matches my style. It might not match yours. The 50mm at a 0.95 is something that I love the look of, so I'm probably gonna invest in that lens because I used it pretty much primarily on my trip to Ireland. But that might not feel for you, so I would recommend borrowing, renting, trying different lenses before you go out and purchasing one. If you are purchasing a lens, I recommend picking up one that your friends don't have. Now, the reason why I would say this is then you can trade and mix and match. Let's say if you have a friend who's like a photographer or videographer, ask if you can borrow their lens in exchange for your one that you just purchased. So being like having lens that is a value to your friends is also a value to you. And the final couple lenses that I would talk about that are really great, that let's say I'll take on a trip with me, but probably not use so much, is like an 11 to 16 or 11 to 24 Tokina lens. I fell in love with it when I started shooting, not my sort of thing anymore, and you'll figure that out. Certain lenses just match your style at a current time, but maybe not later. I love the wide angle lens for doing any sort of like real estate videography or sort of vlogging stuff, but my 18 to 105 can kind of do that for me. I don't need that crazy ultra wide, and when I was on my trip, I realized I only used it like once or twice. So a good way to determine if you're gonna like a lens is just figure out how often you use it and figure out how much you like it when you watch your footage at the end of the day. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really stress learning lenses and trying them out before making the big purchase. I mean, the nice thing is about all lenses is once you've bought them, their resale values actually stays pretty much the same. You might lose about $100, and sometimes you might actually gain monetary value later as they get a little older. This lens right here has not really diminished value in years. So certain lenses just last a long time. Do your research, take a look at it. Hopefully this helps you out with figuring out what one you want to purchase. If you guys like what I'm talking about and blabbling on here, you want to follow my life further, hit that subscribe button, click that little bell down there too, and get you notified of my videos. I'm gonna be shooting a lot more often, and just keep making great stuff. I'll see you guys later.